Welcome back to the MMA Plug, presented to you by the Talk of Colorado on 98.1 FM, Mile High Sports Radio. I'm your host, Jordan Kurt, sitting here alongside UFC middleweight Josh Friend. Give him a follow at Josh Friend MMA. You can give me a follow at Comments from the Peanut Gallery. If you're watching on the online segments, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and smash the bell so you don't miss a drop. Josh, Friday night is going to be a stacked night as far as MMA goes. You have two of the big shows that are going to be competing head-to-head against each other. You know, I kind of liked whether it was one or the other, they both had shows on Thursday night at one point, but it was kind of cool when you had one of them on a Thursday, one of them on a Friday, then one of them on a Saturday.
Kind of reminded me of football season for a little bit.
You know, just gave you each night worth of entertainment.
Each night you had exactly what you wanted, just a different promotion. I thought it was absolutely amazing. But hey, doing a Friday, you know what I'm doing this Friday? I'm going to set up one here. I'm going to set up one here, cook myself a nice steak, and get after it.
A little bit of vitamins, and you're having yourself such a night.
Little bit of vitamins.
Such a good night right there. You are going to be in store for all the action that you could possibly imagine. But kicking it off with Bellator 282, you have Gegard Hung Like a Mousasi taking on Johnny Eblen. This is a middleweight title fight. Johnny Eblen is coming into the matchup at 11-0. It is a little bit of a perplexing matchup to me personally, if I'm 100% honest, just based off of having Anatoly Tokov on the card. He's 30-3, and somehow he's like the number 5 ranked guy on the Bellator list, which I don't know. Like sometimes
I
the
don't
rankings
think we need
and the
to
numbers,
get into the Bellator ranking.
Yeah, you get what I mean.
I'm picking up what you're putting down here.
But yeah, like so like I say, but either way, you have that matchup in the main event with Gegard. That last fight that he had against Austin Vanderford, like Gegard looked as good as he's ever looked.
He did, and even going back, like I hated to even question it because I am a huge Mousasi fan ever since Strikeforce, UFC, the whole time. But how would the fight have gone if Vanderford didn't pop his shoulder? If it didn't get dislocated, we don't know. But at the end of the day, Mousasi's the champion. I'm interested to see what type of attack Eblen comes in with, because Eblen is from ATT, where Vanderford trains, where ATT has a list of middleweight killers down there. And it's going to be interesting. Will Mousasi just plow right through him? Or will one of them eventually get it from him?
Yeah, you know, I don't know. Like I feel like it depends on which Gegard we get.
Yeah.
Because motivated Gegard, I feel like, is one of the best middleweights on the planet still.
Agreed.
But there's also some of those where, you know, I feel like, you know, and you see it with a lot of other longtime vets who are high-level fighters. There might be some names that they end up being given that it just doesn't really entice them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not someone who really makes them get out of bed. They can, not to say easily beat that person, but just based off of talent, skill, and experience alone, they can probably squeeze it out.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not that same thing that gives you that same extra push that, oh man, I know this kid's gonna bring it to me.
It's a hard sport sometimes if you've been in it that long, and just like you said, it has to entice them and make them want to get out of bed. This is a difficult sport to stay hungry in, if you know what I mean. Like, yeah, you can be hungry climbing your way up.
Because to be fair, Gegard is one of the few guys who has gotten paid.
Massively. Like, made some money. And that's that I should have elaborated more on that. Hungry in a sense of, like, we need to get paid. We need to keep going, keep climbing. But when you wake up and bills are paid, you have money, you're fine, you don't really... It's hard to get motivated to go after these up-and-coming killers. And it's really, honestly, a tip of the cap for Mousasi to still be doing it.
Right. I mean, talking about all the way back to the dream days.
Yeah.
Of him being a champion and being at the top of the top levels. And some people always will, that don't realize the intricacy of the situation, will look at someone like him and like, oh, you know, UFC cast off. That's not how Gegard left. Gegard left on a winning streak where I believe he had 4 out of 5 finishes.
Didn't he leave
knockouts.
after the Weidman fight?
Yeah, he had multiple knockouts.
Yeah.
In a row on his record, he left as a free agent to go out there and to make more money.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys who he kind of saw the writing on the wall that he wasn't a guy who was getting a big push from the UFC. So he said, "Okay, like that's fine. Like if you're not going to give me that push, or you're not going to give me the the opportunities to be thrust into the title picture and to to put the resources behind me,
Yeah.
I'm going to test the waters."
Yeah.
And he did, and he got paid handsomely by Bellator. That was in that same acquisition period where they signed also a guy like Rory, who those were the big name guys to make a big splash while still in their prime, and they were able to manifest that destiny that Bellator foresaw in them by each of those guys winning championships, and Gegard now still as a reigning champion. The only time that he stubbed his toe was to Rafael Lovato.
Yeah. And I think it's really good that you made that point right there. Like, a UFC castaway, that was not Mousasi. And I think people still have that kind of thought process. It's almost a recency bias, or just how they hold Bellator in their own regards. But the guy's still in his prime. The guy is still the guy.
Certainly. Now, that being said, getting down to brass tacks, because we went a little long talking about Gegard, but that's not as long as something with Gegard. We're going to talk about...
Pause.
Who are you going to go with your pick there?
I'm going with Gegard Mousasi. I can't go against the grain. I think that Eblen's going to bring a very difficult test, a very hard puzzle to figure out, but I think that he gets it done.
I do too. I think it's going to be Gegard. Now, in terms of, I know that there's a couple of other fights or fighters that we've had our eye on as far as this card goes. Who's your eye on?
I'm going with the Law, Cody Law,
Friend of the show,
friend of Pittsburgh. It's just going to be another evolution that we see of Cody. And if any of you follow his Instagram, like, just watching the kid grow. Can't even call him a kid anymore. He's a grown man wearing a suit every single time he goes and fights. Dude's doing it amazing, and I think it's going to be another evolution and a great performance.
Definitely, and I think that he's a bright star to keep your eye on for the sport as a whole. I know that a lot of the sources coming out of the training room down there at ATT say that he's one of the brightest prospects in the entire gym, or on the entire ATT roster, and that's something to be said.
That's something to be said, especially with I believe it's only 5 pro fights. He has 5 or 6 pro fights, I believe, and like, to be that relatively early in your career, like, that's a huge thing to have.
Certainly. And then for me, if I'm going to put the spotlight on somebody from this Bellator card, I like Enrique Barzola. He's taking on Magomedov, and I like that fight. You know what I mean? And I like Enrique Barzola. Ever since he's came over into the Bellator ranks, he's been a guy who has been able to pretty much rewrite the trajectory of his career right now, especially going in there the way that he just completely obliterated Darian Caldwell. He made Darian Caldwell look pedestrian.
Like, not like Darian Caldwell.
Yeah, like not a former world champion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's going to be my spotlight fighter for the week there on the Bellator card.
Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. That helps us continue to produce this original MMA content and bring it for you every single week. Tune in to the MMA Plug presented by DenverSportsBetting.com on 98.1 FM, Mile High Sports Radio on Wednesday nights from 6 to 7 p.m. or live stream at DenverSportsBetting.com/radio.